Part 3. I cleaned up a bit, realized that my battery is half dead, and I'm going to continue this shadow tutorial with the body. So this should be relatively easy, actually. Well, I said that about the head, and that sure wasn't. Let me adjust the camera a bit. Okay. So the body is going to be, the body itself is going to be an easy shape, but it's the details on the body that are harder. Make a circle. I suggest you take the head and measure the size. That's a fairly good size, but I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Okay, rolling out the body here. And that should be fairly good size. That's a pretty good size. And when you add the spikes and stuff to it, you're going to want it a bit bigger anyway. So it's good the way it is. Now the chest, typically what I do is I'll take a piece of white, flatten it out, and then cut out the shape. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. I don't know how well this is going to go on a piece of paper, but let me see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to cut like the fur shape. You kind of have to like have a picture of it if you really like want to get it right. I'm kind of just going off the top of my head. I think it has what, like 3 things of fur or whatever on it. So it's kind of what I'm going to try for. You guys probably can't see this very well. This is very hard to show in like real life. And it didn't work too well on this paper, but it gave me a pretty good outline. A bit. Yeah, it worked okay. Not the best, but it worked good enough for this tutorial. Okay. I ended up sculpting more of that than anything else, but that's cool. So, take this, put it smack dab in the middle of his chest. Then you may want to take a toothpick and kind of give it those fur lines, especially if they were lost in when you try to cut it out. Okay. Next I'll put in the back spikes. You can probably make... Does he have any red on... I feel like he has red on his back spikes. So you guys can put some red on there. Just remember, pretty much for these spikes, do the same for this. But you could check on that. I'm pretty sure he does. But just for time's sake, I'm really not going to. But, you know, I mean, and he has a tail. Make sure you put the tail on. I almost forgot the tail on Mighty last time. So don't forget. Shadow has those cup things. Well, yeah, they're something like this too, but shadows are actually colored. Okay, I cleaned this up a bit here, but we're gonna continue with the cuffs now, like I said. Okay, so we had this much for the coloring, and now I think the cuffs have some sort of black thing on them, so I'm just gonna make a small thing and put it on the red. I think it goes on the red one. I think that looks right. Okay, we should probably use toothpicks. I think that would help, but for the time being, I want to go on to make the hand, because I think once we have the whole arm done, then we'll try and attach it all onto the body and whatnot. So let's do the hand. For the hand, I don't know, I just make a ball, like, you know, just like, I mean, that's like the basic shape in all this, is just balls and stuff. Oh, you gotta make it in proportion, though. Yeah, keep this piece in mind, because you want to make it the right size, and like the spikes to the head, the fingers on the hands, it's gonna add to it. So you may want to take that into account. Okay, how I typically do the fingers is I kind of pick a point and just start kind of, like, see, I'm just making a thumb from it. I'm just pinching it, and I kind of make a thumb from it, and then I'd take a toothpick. Then I'd take this toothpick and, well, I'd flatten this first. So then it's like that, and then I'd take the toothpick and cut the big part up, essentially. I'd do, 3 cuts or whatever to make fingers like that, and then I'd just separate them and sculpt them down in size, round them out a bit. So it looks like a hand. That's essentially how I do it. And then, I don't know if I will for this clay model, but then typically I'd put like a Chaos Emerald or whatever in there. I don't think I will for this one. I'll just make them like, that, and then you can shape it into whatever you want. So, with that said, I think, so this doesn't, fall, so the hand doesn't fall off or anything, I want to put a toothpick in there and then stick it onto his cuff things. There we go. That's actually pretty good. Okay. And again, just because of the timing, I mean, I know I keep saying that, but I just really don't want to do things twice if you've already seen it once. So, just for the sake of this, I mean, that's how you can make a hand. You do the same exact thing for the other hand, but it would be but it would be reversed for the fingers and stuff. So, I'm just gonna make like a fist or whatever for the other hand when I do it. And before that, Shadow has like red stuff on his arm. Just a small red thing like this. And I was thinking about it, and yeah, it's gonna bother me if I don't do this. I'm just gonna put small red things on the back of Shadow's spikes, or on the spikes on his back, like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It will look better, but again, in the scale this small, it might not be noticeable. But just for future reference, you're essentially just doing the same thing that you did for the spikes on his head, really. Okay. So that's the body there. If I had made the toothpick a bit longer in the arm, or not arm, hand, I keep getting those mixed up right now. If I made that longer, then I could have stuck it into the arm, but since I didn't, I'm going to have to use a whole nother thing. I hope this doesn't overlap with each other. Okay, no, it doesn't. Let's, give me a sec, cut through. Sometimes it's a problem if the toothpick is too big, then the clay's not thick enough, it'll break through. I hate when that happens, but it happens sometimes. Okay. There's an arm. There's our first arm, with hand and all. So then we'll put Shadow on his head on like that eventually, and then that'll be pretty good there. And I'm gonna fix this nose a bit, just because I'm being picky. There we go. Okay. Again, just for the time's sake, I think I'm going to make the second arm off camera. You saw one. I really don't want to spend another 15 minutes doing another, so give me a second and I'll make the second arm. Okay, so I did the other hand, like I said, I just made it like a, a ball kind of thing. I'll put this one on later because I feel like it won't stay on now, even if we put it on. Like, we'll put the head on later, because we still need the legs and the feet, so I'll do that. I'll do that now. Again, I'm repeating myself, but again, just because of the timing, and it's essentially the same thing, just, well, for the legs and the feet, it is essentially the same thing, twice. I'll do one leg and foot, and then I'll just do the other off camera, and then I'll put it all together, because, after a while, it does kind of get repetitious, like, I mean, yeah, watching the same thing get sculpted twice. Which kind of bothers me too, because it's like, if you do it so well the first time, then it's like you have to do, another one, and it's like, okay, I think for the cuffs on his, oh, I think I may have confused my artworks a bit, I think, in terms of the cuffs. I think, oh, never mind. I guess it doesn't really matter. But different artworks do have different, like, styles for the cuffs and stuff, so if you're going to, be very picky about a certain art style, or you're basing it off of something, then just pay attention to that. But I'm really not basing this off of anything. It's kind of just standard shadow, like, from anything. Okay. Again, just putting two things together, and then I put this thing at the top, because I think something tells me that's how Shadow's shoes are. So, now's the shoe part.